to the big story on the BDTV Breakfast Show. Nigeria's annual budget is often presented as a roadmap for economic development, outlining government priorities, spending plans, and revenue projections. However, beyond these numbers, there's growing debate about whether this budget truly serves as an economic tool for national growth or a political statement designed to appease interest and project power. With recurrent issues like inflated allocations, unrealistic revenue targets, and weak implementation, critics question its effectiveness in driving real change. And in this conversation, we ask, is Nigeria's annual budget a genuine economic blueprint or just another political performance? Well, our expert today is joining us on the big story, Mr. Nnaemeka Obiaraeri, and he joins us to unpack the facts behind the figures. Good morning and welcome to the show, Mr. Obiaraeri.
Good morning, Elizabeth. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining. Let me start by asking you, at the core of what the national budget, is trying to achieve in a developing economy like Nigeria, what should it ideally be?
Basically, you asked that question, and I want to respond straightforward. What they just did is a political statement, not a tool to revamp Nigeria. Elizabeth, currently, this country is teetering on the brinks. And any serious person, any serious government or economic analyst knows clearly that in 2007, we developed a massive wholesale integrated economic development plan with the help of the World Bank that clearly indicated that for Nigeria to move from the current, pardon my word, shithole jungle status to the level of a second world economy, we must have non-consistent, sustainable, unbroken investment, capital investment of at least $100 billion annually over the next 30 years. That is cumulative $3 trillion investment unbroken for the next 30 years. Today, if you look at that budget, if you break it down in dollar terms, it does not even meet up to half of that threshold. And if you look at the current expenditure and all the rest of that, how much did they even budget for capital expenditure? The revenue estimate does not cut it. At time in this country, we are doing 2.8 million barrels of crude and condensate every day. Today, we barely struggle to do 1.5 million barrels. The level of criminality that we have seen in the energy sector from 2015 till now is atrocious, is monumental. So if this government actually wants to do the right thing, not just the federal government, the three tiers of government, we need to sit down and build from the bottom. And see, basically what they are doing in Abuja and most of the state capitals is that they bring the previous budget, they will dust it up, they will just arbitrarily add numbers across the board. There is no rigor, there is no plan, there is no real intention to grow this economy productively. I sit here even in my little corner, and I see an economy that can become a $1.5 trillion economy over the next 5-8 years if we have serious people working together across the three tiers and arms of government with one focus, building on inclusive prosperity for every one of us. As of 1970, if you look back to history, our GDP in 1970 was $12.3 billion. South Korea GDP was $9.4 billion. Today, South Korean GDP is $1.7 trillion, 52 million people. Nigeria GDP is less than $200 billion. If Nigeria had grown in the same trajectory with South Korea, today we should be having a $2.7 trillion economy. And we can actually, we are actually in a position to be bigger than Brazil economy at about 2.3 trillion. But the problem we have, and that is the general problem we have in this land, is that we have in a majority, 95% of the political class, across the three tiers and arms of government, do not have any business in the first instance being in the public space. They have no business being in the public space, no business at all being in the public space. They have no record, they have no competencies, they have no patriotism. In fact, most of them see political office as able to just show up their sagging socio-economic lives. So we don't have patriots like Michael Obiaraeri, who at 39 became the premier of the old Eastern Nigeria. And within a 7-year period, 1959 to 1966, built 214-kilometer industrial belt, built the fastest growing economy in the whole of the Commonwealth. Go and check his revenue profile. Michael Obiaraeri's revenue was bigger than the revenue of other regions put together. He had a very efficient security network, a very efficient police force that was so efficient that when other nations were looking for people to come and make peace in their country, they never requested for the federal government police. They specifically requested for the police of the old Eastern region. So the truth is, the physical framework of this country, based on what we have seen, is just political gimmicks. There is no rigor, there is no intentionalities by any of them to build an all-inclusive, prosperous country that can take the over 197 million Nigerians who are under the poverty threshold out of poverty into prosperity.
Right, and I hear you, and I see how passionately you talk about this topic. Now, how well does Nigeria's annual budget align with, our national development priorities such as infrastructure, healthcare, and education? Do you think it even aligns at all?
It does not align. I'll give an example. Go and check the 2017 Economic Recovery Growth Plan of Buhari's government. They said what they listed that they would do between 2017 and 2020. I picked out one thing. Today in Nigeria, we have a massive housing deficit. Some have said it's 17 million, some say it's 21 million. There is no even clear-cut statistics of the actual number of the housing deficit. But I know of the cost based on study that is over 117 million, because over 197 million Nigerians cannot even eat, talk less of even building houses. So it's very huge. To cover that housing deficit, it will take almost about 625 trillion naira investments. Now, under the Economic and Recovery Growth Plan, they told us gleefully within 3 years, between 2017 to 2020, that they were going to set up housing trust fund in trillions of naira, facilitate the building of 2 million housing units. That Buhari left power in 2023. 3 years after the ELGP expired, you could not see anywhere in Nigeria where they facilitated up to 10,000 housing units. Go and look at the National Development Plan that followed the ELGP that terminated 2025. Go and look at the parameters. The truth is, and I say it again, no economy can work in such chaotic conditions as we have today. Look at this speech everywhere. Between 1960 to 1966, before the Civil War broke out, you could actually confidently enter a 911 truck in Urumibo import in River State and travel all night to Pambegwa in Kaduna State. Nobody will molest you. Nobody will kidnap you. Nobody will molest you. Today, you don't dare even try it in the day. Insecurity has been the bane. We have profound solutions to this government on how we can tackle insecurity. The current security architecture of Nigeria is not working. For a person like Jimmy and Jimmy, one of the most decorated generals in Nigeria, to even scream that our security architecture has been compromised, that the military guys are colluding with the bandits and the terrorists, is enough signal for us to know that things have gone bad. Now, Ubaraje, a former APC chieftain, said it publicly that most of the militias and bandits disturbing Nigeria were imported into Nigeria by some of their stalwarts, thinking that there will be war in 2015. Today, those people have not gone back. And the current architecture is not working. For us to build, first of all, this economy, we must have 24/7 security across the 5 days. For us to have it, we have to restructure the whole security architecture of Nigeria. Over security back to the people. We suggested the issue of creating clusters of 1,000 to 1,500 agro clusters, agro-industrial clusters in each of the electoral wards in Nigeria. In each of these agro-pastoral clusters, set up 100 to 200 agro rangers, fully trained, fully armed, fully equipped. We also, and they are going to be paid not from the physical revenue, but from the revenue that will come from the agro-industrial belts. Each belt will take up, each cluster will take about $6 million to build. And each cluster can bring about $45 million annually. It will take us 15 billion. The 15 billion, 17 billion that are going to waste doing coastal road to nowhere will be enough for us to build this bulwark that at the end of about $200 billion revenue into this economy and create over 20 million jobs across the board. And we guarantee 24/7 stability, because if you have 100 fully armed, fully trained agro rangers from a community, when I'm posted back to the community, they will have the filial connection, the relationship connection, the blood ties to lay down their lives to protect their people. Central State Governor even said it. He said they know where the bandits are. That if there is political will, those bandits can be eliminated in 2 weeks. The government knows what to do. We've run the numbers. If in every local government area under this agro-business initiative, you have 2-3 armored personnel carriers, 1 truck-mounted machine gun, you have drones, you have also dogs in each of the wards. You have motorcycles and motorized arrangements. And you remove 1,500 hectares of forest from each of the wards. Where will the bandits hide? And when you have built up an economy that has 20 million youths, fully employed, gainfully employed, how many are the bandits? How many are tourist herdsmen? How many are the unknown government in the southeast? The problem we have today is that most of those in our central security architecture have actually migrated from being security men to rent-seeking people, whether they are starting people on the road or they are creating avenues to make more money. Let the chaos continue. We know what to do, and we have posted things that we need to do. And if this government is sincere, from Abuja to the states, if they apply some of the recipes that we have provided for them, this country in the next 5, 7, 8 years will be a $1 trillion, $1.2 trillion economy.
I mean, I hear you when you talk about the fact that government knows what to do, and this is why people have lots of concerns about, inflated or duplicated budgetary allocations, and there are conversations about what extent is this budget influenced by, political considerations, elections, regional appeasement, or lobbying. How do we find a way around these things?
This is not budgeting. Basically, what we have been doing is just allocating numbers to youth. You saw 2025 budget, over 6 trillion naira was inserted by members of National Assembly. You saw one of the National Assembly members talking about that none of them that goes home, that does not go away with at least $1 billion. You saw a National Assembly where the budget, where they provided over tens of millions of naira for one solar light that does not cost more than 160,000 naira to establish. The truth is, we've gotten to where we are because 95% of the political class see political office as avenue to steal, to loot, to balkanize. And that is why you see everything is politics. There's no originality, there's no intentionality, there's no sincerity, there's no honesty. I say it, when people talk, as even we've only started the whole of Nigeria today, I said to anybody who has listened, it's all about character. Character is the key thing. Even if we overhaul the whole constitutional framework of Nigeria, like some of us have said, back to what we had in 1963, as long as we do not have men of character, like Abufema, like Sadauna, like Tafawa Balewa, like like Michael Labra, like Latif Jokonde, like Jim Wobodo, like Desabon, as long as we do not have men who see governance as avenue to build, to create legacies, as long as we see men who see avenue like hyenas to eat the capitals of other Nigerians, we will never make progress. See, Nigeria has ticked all the indicators as a failed state. Most people say we are failing. We are practically failed. Now, will they recover? Yes. But we need to overhaul the whole foundation. We need to get to a level where the best of Nigerians. Imagine a country where we have people like Akim Adesina, Charles Wododo, not Charles, people like Akim Adesina. We have Akim Adesina. We have Obiaraeri Kwesili. We have people like Koji Wala. We have all these people, Akim Adesina, all of them. Yeah, look at the clever people ruling Nigeria. Mostly 419ers, mostly convicted bandits across every part of the world. It's a very shameful thing. It's left for Nigerians. If we want to do the right thing, we'll do the right things.
Would you say Nigeria's budgeting process is transparent and inclusive enough to actually reflect the economic needs of the people? I mean, we see all of this. We talk about oil price benchmarks, revenue projections, and we talk about the fact that do these things actually impact, economic credibility and investor confidence? And then we go back to the question of the fact that are these things really transparent and inclusive enough to reflect the economic needs of the people?
There's nothing transparent about our budgeting process. But it's even shameful for us to call those things we do budgets. They are not budgets. I say what we basically do, we just allocate numbers, overheads, to enable us to overinflate contracts, to steal. That is why you see them engage in mostly things like brick and mortar. They are renovating conferences with 39 billion. They are building new INEC offices with 59 billion. They are doing coastal road with $15 billion. When old roads, you saw the Mr. President, he couldn't get to Yelewa in Benin because the roads were bad, it was flooded. You expect, let me tell you, in a country where you have sincere men, we cannot spend $21 billion to do VP's house. We won't be spending $39 billion to to renovate a conference center. We won't be spending 59 billion to be doing INEC building when the old building did not burn. When Ushibango stayed in a BP place for 8 years and nothing happened there. The truth is, what we should, a sincere government like Yadwa, even when Yadwa became president, the first thing Yadwa was acknowledge that the election that brought him to power was flawed. And Yadwa began a massive reform. He trained the wise panel to reform the electoral system. Yadwa was not a very transparent president. If you go, sometimes I don't know why if what things happen to good people. If Yadwa had not died, if Yadwa had done 18, what be where we are today? Men like Yadwa no longer exist. Basically, what you have today, principles. There are only two governors who govern in Nigeria, P2B and Yadwa, who never did pension funds for themselves, who never allocated lands to themselves, and who left savings in their state treasury, who have no EFC record anywhere. Come and check the rest of what is. You saw the other one that was accused of stealing 80 billion from his state, who even used state resources to pay over $800,000 school fees for his children. The kind of convoy he was using, even after becoming governor. Where was he before he became governor? It's the kind of thing we say. We eulogize criminality, we eulogize incompetencies. We do what basically we do in Nigeria across the three tiers and arms of government is just to just allocate resources. Nothing more. There are no rigor, there are no scientific foundations, there are no basic rational assumptions in our budgeting process. If we decide to do the right thing, and the only way we can do the right thing is to overhaul the whole system. And again, it's left for the electors and Nigerians because we are not victims. So I say it to anybody who keeps listening. We have 176,000 electoral polling booths in Nigeria. We have 800 electoral wards. We have 774 local government areas. We have 36 states. Over 1 million to 2 million Nigerians participate in election processes. These are teachers. These are youth corpers. These are professors. These are VCs. These are local policemen and military men. A majority of them decide sincerely, like President Lutz in Nigeria State did, to shun the whiff of the dollar and corruption and do the right thing. There will be the incentives for those with capacity, with competencies, with character to throw their ass in the ring and contest. And when you have men of character and competencies and skill and sincerity and patriotism in the right places in governance, all these yo criminal political game machine people are doing will be eliminated. Then Nigerians will see true reforms. But as long as we have the current structures and the current characters in place, my sister, there is no hope.
Mr. Nnaemeka, permit me to digress for a bit. So the president had, in a bid to empathize with the people of Benue State, he had described the situation going on there as land grabbing and, asked them to, stay more united, called it land grabbing in quotes. What would you say about this comment?
Let me tell you, it's very unfortunate, but I also don't entirely hold the president. See, the buck falls on the president's table. I remember before he became, he was tweeting against Jonathan. Most of the things against Jonathan, he's not doing it. But the real problem is with the governor of Benue State. The governor is a weakling. He is cowardly. Sometimes I get shocked that guy is actually a reverend gentleman, because a reverend father should be compassionate. Should share qualities and principles. What we are basically is a land grab. It's not only in Benue State. It's in Plateau and part of Enugu State. Plateau's Benue State has 275 electoral wards with the 3 local government areas. If Governor Alia does not know what to do, we will show him what to do. Right to life is a right that is above any constitutional provision or any constitutional right. Life is to defend yourself. All you need to do, create 700,000 hectares of. The Benue is a food belt, 3.5 million hectares of arable land mass. Netherlands, with 1.5 million hectares of arable land, does over $120 billion euro export, agro export annually. Benue State can do more than Netherlands. You have to just do simple thing. In every of the electoral wars in Benue State, create 1,500 to 1,000 hectares of agro-industrial park. In the north, we have civilian JTF, they carry AK-47. Openly approach national security advisor. Let me tell you, I will done the numbers. To set up agro-industrial clusters of 1,700 hectares in each of the 275 wards in Benue State, aggregate cost will take about $273 million. To equip 200 agro rangers in each of these wards to protect it with sophisticated guns, drones, and Kinkoso dogs to man their bushes, protect their people, will take about $113 million. If Reverend does not know how to mobilize resources, technical support, locally and globally, and funding to do this, who will help him do it? Let me tell you, if you have 87,000 Benue youths, indigenous people, not people imported from the moon, protecting these clusters, I will go in there and mobilize and do, even if it's just massive plantations intercrop with food crops. There is every year within the next 1 year, Benue State will produce nothing less than 3.7 trillion naira, $2.2 billion worth of agro exports. Benue State will be so secure that there will be no audits that will was in and was out of Benue State. All he need to do is to put the place in place the structures. We will help him to mobilize the education, the agriculture trust fund, the security trust fund, that will be fully funded and liquidated over a period of 5 years. He will become a secure and prosperous state. But if he wants to still keep on playing politics with those in Abuja from his state and all those stuff, so I wish them good luck. They are the ones that will lead. When he provides that leadership, he will go to Mr. President and ask Mr. President for support. In Anambra State, when Peter became governor in 2006, Anambra was a beehive of criminal activities. Peter did one thing. He got the state assembly to pass a law. If your house and forest is used to hold, sequester a kidnap victim, they will pull it down. He was a member of APDA. The state assembly was PDP, was able to convince them. That went to innocent and got 177 trucks for each of local government and motorcycles. The PGs, because every committee knows the good, the bad, and all things, to donate 50 of the good sons. The committee selected their best sons who are not criminals, who are not drug addicts, but they were trained. I went to Yadua and begged for army to clear the evil forest where those kidnappers were holding thoughts. In 6 months, because security had been given back to the people, they know the nooks and crannies of the state. They cleared out those criminals. One of the hardened criminals, Evans, made his own first attack in Lagos. He ran away from Anambra for 4 years. Anambra was voted as the most secure state in Nigeria under P2B, an opposition party governor. If Anambra and other governors sincere, they will set the pace. They will sit down with their people. They will hand over to give back the book. This is like in the north where you have to get this with AK-47. They will set up their own civilian JTF, fully armed, fully protected. If you have 27,000 youths in Benue State with AK-47, you have 2 armored personnel carriers in every local government area. Or not. It's not by these able rangers. There will be no bandit or herdsman or anything that will enter Benue State and escape free. Still for other governors. But everybody is waiting for Abuja. These governors collect over 300, 400 billion every year. And there's no governor who is very sincere that cannot produce at least $10 billion from his state as revenue. But they are lazy, they are incompetent, and most of them will after what they can still loot or take away from the states.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nnaemeka Obiaraeri. We have to let you go now, but just before I let you go, riding off the back of what all of you said about, allocating budget for security and all of that, just in general for rural communities in Nigeria, how do they get to feel the impact of this national budget so much more than they have ever felt?
There's no budgeting that affects rural people. That is why today in Nigeria, we have over 197 million Nigerians who live under poverty. For emphasis sake, by World Bank own records and indicators, if you're earning anything less than $64.50, you're into poverty. You need even welfare interventions. And $64 says that equivalent of 130 naira. I don't know how many Nigerians who earn 130 naira. Even the civil servant, the minimum wage is 70,000 is below even poverty minimum threshold, poverty threshold. So basically, to talk an inclusive, prosperous economy that takes China did it. What did China do? China moved the literacy level from 62% to 98%. Today, basic education, primary school, is within the purviews of the state. We've met to this one how the state can set up education trust fund in communities, in state level, in local government level, and how they can make it compulsory primary and secondary education. Quality education, they can make minimum wage of teachers to at least 300,000. So that the smartest will go into classroom. Most of the people that I have in the classroom, with our prejudice is very few who are excellent. And the jets, when people graduate, those who met on class, who met 2-2 or whatever, apologize to those who are very smart or whatever, and people that you live in the classrooms. The smartest go into banking, oil and gas, because there is no incentive. I left university as a faculty scholar. And he was called back to come and lecture as a graduate assistant nominee. That's 16 months. Well, I can't survive with him. I have to walk away to tell mainstream banking. And there are many like that too. Before in Nigeria, the smartest go into civil service. That was like left Oxford University and came to become a district officer and joined the army. Because the public service then was a place where the smartest, but I have an uncle who left the UK civil service to join the military civil service. UK trained. So the truth is, we need to build up our education sector. We need to go take our literacy level to 98%. We need to make education compulsory. Any person who has a child that is not in school will go to jail. And we have to make it compulsory the way that we have to make it free, qualitative and quantitative. We have to amend the consensus of the land in a way that education funding must be 25% of every revenue and borrowing. China did it. Singapore did it. The greatest route to bottom up Nigeria is to move our literacy level to 98%. And this we can be in 12 years. Anyway, who am I even preaching to? Most of those who purport to govern us, some of them are even with fake results. Some of them are not even educated. 90% of them are not educated. Because anyone who is educated, both in character and in learning, will not be behaving the way most of them are behaving.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nnaemeka Obiaraeri, for your passionate submissions today on The Big Story. It was truly insightful speaking to you. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Well, this has been The Big Story on the BDTV Breakfast Show. Do stay with us for so much more.